every now and then after a work day, I feel the need to connect with you and just speak my mind, and that's what I'm going to do again today. There was this repeat theme and question across my sessions today, and that was, why this much suffering? A lot of people introspecting, a lot of people asking philosophically, a lot of people ideating over it. Why am I suffering? Why is my family suffering? Why is the world suffering? And I don't really claim to have all the answers, but I do have something to share, which is basically what we can do with all the suffering. There's this famous quote from the book The Plague by Albert Camus. It goes like, taught you all this? Or who taught you all this, doctor? And the doctor replied, saying suffering. And I genuinely believe that when we suffer, it adds to our repertoire of ability to connect with one another, our ability to empathize, our ability to make peace with ourselves first, become aware of ourselves, and then further, our connect and ability to care and nurture for someone else. I'll give you a small example from my own life. I went to boarding school when I was 9 years old. I'm from a very small town. Both my parents are doctors. I think their top ambition for both their girls was great education, and so they did send us to the best school possible, but I went when I was 9, and there were a lot of other children who I saw weren't adjusting for a very, very long time. It's a very young age to go. So the way we were perceiving that separation from our parents was different. The way we were experiencing the suffering was different. The way we dealt with it was different, and it's just a very small example. And I must say that I'm sure that there were kids who handled it even better than me. Things that I was clear about even at that young an age is that I never looked at it as a punishment. I never looked at it as separation. There might have been physical separation, but I looked at it as that I was still connected with my parents, and I wrote painfully long letters to them every week, but I didn't feel the disconnect. Yet there were times when there was so much homesickness that try and find a teacher or a friend to cry to, and I realized that at a very young age I became that friend for kids to come and about what they were feeling, and slowly teachers started to make me their buddy to help them adjust, take care of them. So, well, I guess this started rather early for me, but what I'm trying to say is that it was the same suffering, separation for a kid at that age, in that class, demographics largely the same. We were looking at it very differently. So that's a very important point, how you look at suffering. There were times when I was becoming aware of what homesickness would do to my body. I would feel the pain. I would feel that angst rising in my chest. I would feel my nostrils burn. I would feel my eyes welling up. And the minute I recognized that there was that pain coming and it was going to take over me, or I would cry, I would sublime it. I would ask for a class or a book, or ask for friends to come and play throw ball with me. I don't know if it was at that time that constructive, but I know that it was adaptive. And so that was the other thing, and soon it started to help me understand what other kids were going through. I knew what they were feeling the minute they said that they were homesick, and that is one of the biggest value of suffering. When you suffer, when you understand what pain is, what trauma is, what hurt is, what rejection is, it instantly helps you connect with the other person, thus adding to your ability to care and nurture the other one. In a very strange way, sad way, difficult way, I think we have all been given this opportunity to experience stress, to experience pain, to experience fear, to experience trauma, to experience opportunities to be resilient and to fight, to have to get out of that sense of entitlement that nothing can go wrong with us and nothing should go wrong in my life, and start flexing muscles of self-awareness. Who am I? Why am I suffering? How do I handle pain? How do I handle rejection? How do I handle trauma? And when there is that self-awareness, that extends into an emotional understanding, not just of yourself, but also of another. And that is a huge achievement, because that is what we call empathy, which is really not easy until and unless you start becoming aware of yourself. The third thing that I feel that suffering does is it makes you adaptive. Now, the thing is that everyone has a different reaction, different response, different retaliation to stress by virtue of the perception they make of it. So not everyone is adaptive to it. There are people that unfortunately become bitter. There are people who unfortunately get depression or get anxiety disorders or have even more significant and debilitating psychological disorders. And there are some that hold grudges, in the end causing pain to themselves, and of course in some cases causing a lot of chaos and pain around them. But then there are some people who are able to experience that suffering. Suffering is not easier on the ones who adapt. It's the same. It causes, loss of a loved one or a loving relationship, rejection from in a loving relationship, a fight with a very close friend, or a difficult marriage. How can it be easy on one and not on the on the other? It's difficult for everyone. So the point that I'm trying to get at is that if we are able to adapt to that suffering and convert that that agitation and that negative energy, energy is energy, we call it positive or negative, but if we can convert that energy into a good direction, sublime it into understanding ourselves, understanding the other person, and see what we can do with it. To conclude, what I'm trying to say is that yes, there is a lot of suffering going on. There are a lot of difficult emotions. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot to do. So many of us are getting overwhelmed. And for some time, instead of breaking down under the pressure, instead of looking at it and questioning why it's happening, let it happen. And truly experience and introspect and see how you're reacting to it. See if you can flex some muscles in yourself, cope and adapt. I felt compelled today because again there was a repetitive theme in my sessions today, and I thought that this might add value. So I just rambled away. Stress this time round looks like it's here to stay for a bit. And I do hope and pray that it goes away soon, but then there's no guarantee that stress will not recur in our life. In one way or the other, it comes and goes. Take care of yourselves, not just of your bodies, but also of your mind.